What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Truckee Pacific Reviews. I am your host, Dave, and with me, as always, is Dante.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very good.
Good. Dante's got some pretty fun, exciting news. Where are you going tomorrow?
I don't know. I think Pagosa Springs or something.
Are you going to Mesa Verde?
Oh, yeah.
Mesa
Going to
Verde.
Mesa Verde.
Yeah, Mesa Verde is really cool. All right. There's for those of you who don't live in Colorado and have never heard of Mesa Verde, there was an ancient Native American tribe that actually carved their cities into the side of a mountain, and Mesa Verde is the city that was left over. So it's a huge archaeological dig. It's ongoing. They continue to find new artifacts and new buildings there all the time. And then sometime in the past, the Native Americans disappeared. Like nobody really knows whatever happened to the citizens of Mesa Verde, but
It's like Roanoke.
it is kind of like Roanoke, but only less mysterious, I guess. You know, there was a lot of drought at the time, so the folks there who lived in Mesa Verde at the time probably went off and joined other tribes or just moved on. They just didn't leave a lot of stuff behind them. Roanoke is like a supernatural mystery. No one knows what the hell happened to the folks at Roanoke. And for those of you who don't know Roanoke, which is in North Carolina, really interesting story. I would highly recommend doing a little research on that. So, and that actually kind of leads us to our movie that we're reviewing. Dante, why don't you start off by telling everybody, like, what is your daily challenge? Because I know that you're really into fall and Halloween. I know you're setting yourself a daily challenge. And so what is your daily challenge and what are some of the things that you have done?
My daily challenge is just doing something fall and Halloween related every single day. I didn't do one yesterday, but
What are some of the things that you've done so far?
I went to a cemetery with you.
What cemetery did you go to?
Fairmount Cemetery, not sponsored.
Yes, Fairmount Cemetery. You just got a free advertisement on Truckee Pacific Reviews. You're welcome.
You don't get our corpses.
No, you don't get our corpses. What'd you think of Fairmount? I love Fairmount. I love taking pictures, which sounds weird. I love taking pictures there. It's beautiful. So how was your experience at Fairmount?
I liked it a lot.
What'd you like about it? Come on, let's talk here. We're on a show. Let's talk here.
What I liked about it was there was like really big graves, like humongous graves. Like, those people had a lot of money.
Yeah,
A lot of old graves as well.
Yeah, they look like legitimate like little houses, and rich people, their bones are inside. How'd that make you feel? This is like your first time to just walk around a cemetery and look at graves and stuff. How did that make you feel?
My spirit felt like it was being dragged down by something, but like not anymore.
I kind of feel like that on a daily basis, but I think you and I have very different reasons why.
Wait, this is a different topic.
I think this sounds really weird, but this also kind of plays into the Blair Witch Project. I think Dante has a little bit of ESP, a little bit.
What's that?
Like you have intuition, you can kind of like see the future a little bit. You can also, you've had some experiences with ghosts in the past. And just like my sister-in-law, his aunt, she is a legitimate psychic. And I think Dante has a little bit of that blood in him, oddly enough. So, yeah, I think, going to places like that, it's like an antenna. You're like a little antenna that, you can kind of feel the spirits around you. And I think that's what you felt. I genuinely think that you felt the spirits around you because that place is probably pretty full of them.
It is.
All right. Good input there.
And another thing I did on my daily challenge was watch a horror movie called The Blair Witch Project.
Man, that is like the best segue that we have had on any of our shows, Santori Project or Mile High Podcast. Mile High podcast reviews, Truckee Pacific reviews. I legitimately think that was one of the best segues that we have ever made. So,
Thank you.
as Dante said, we are reviewing the Blair Witch Project tonight. And I'm going to give you a little bit of my personal history with this movie. First of all, you look very thirsty. Are you okay? Are you doing okay? All right, good. Get it out of the way. If you'll notice, this show unofficially sponsored by Coca-Cola Zero. It's the unofficial soda for Truckee Pacific, and it's delicious.
Please sponsor us.
They need to sponsor us. We'll have Ketan and Jimmy do a commercial for us. So Blair Witch, my personal interaction with Blair Witch Project, I absolutely love this movie. I know it gets shit on as the years go on. It gets shit on by people who just say it's a bad movie. But when it came out, it was so revolutionary and so legitimately scary. To this day, even though it's not one of the best horror movies I've ever seen, it's still one of my favorites because it is legit. It has some scary spots in it. A lot of the horror movies today, any kind of found footage horror movie that you see is all because of the Blair Witch Project. And it was like the first indie movie one that really utilized internet. And back then, internet was still really new. Like people were just getting on and testing it out. And the directors, who are Daniel Myrick and Eduardo Sanchez, they had a brilliant marketing plan. They made Blair Witch. They put a bunch of footage onto a website. They created a whole lore around the Blair Witch Project. Not even marketing it as a movie, marketing it as this is something that just happened, like this is legitimate. And it was one of the first things that went absolutely viral. And when I went to go see the movie, I saw it in 1999, so I was in college. The friend I went with, DW, who is a friend of Truckee Pacific, he went with me. He was legit scared out of his mind, and he legitimately thought that this movie was real. Like this is a real documentary of these kids who went searching for this witch and ended up dying in the process. And that it just blew me away that there were so many people that thought that this was a legitimate documentary because of the brilliance of the marketing plan and the brilliance of the marketing of this movie. And then I feel that this movie really lived up to its hype. When I saw it, I was legit scared. And it takes a lot for me to get scared on horror movies because I've seen so many. So that is my personal attachment to this movie. Dante, who's not a big fan of horror movies,
Not at all.
this is like his first like legit horror movie. So I want you to take it away, buddy. Oh, you're shaking your head no. What are you saying no for?
It's not a horror movie at all. Well, okay, it could have been back then because people could have thought it was real, but there isn't any horror elements into it. There's no jump scares. There's no like really scary, gory things that happen. It's more of just a movie where you're really tense and then like, oof, oof.
Well, being tense is a part of the feeling of watching a horror movie. There's all different types of horror movies. There's the bloody slasher movie, like Halloween. There's the scare movie, the supernatural scare movie, like The Exorcist. And then there's movies like this that it's more suspenseful. And the directors just had no money to actually do effects. And so I think part of what I liked so much about it was it's all very real. All the reactions are very real. I think the part where they're in the tent and they hear voices around, that is not a jump scare for sure. It is but a legitimate scare. Like you are in the middle of the woods, and you have to remember these guys were literally just dumped in the middle of the woods, and they have no idea what's going on. And all of a sudden, they hear these voices around them. So the fear that they are feeling, that is real, genuine fear, and you cannot get that from being a really good actor. I mean, like they were legitimately scared because they were legitimately scared.
Yeah.
Were you scared at any time during the movie?
At the very end, but like not really. I thought the tent scene where they were in the tent and all the voices were around them, I thought that was really cool because like there was punching on the tents and it was like little kids were hitting on the tents. It was so cool.
Yeah. So, I know you have a little bit of trivia about the Blair Witch. We always like to do a little bit of
A
trivia.
little bit.
Yeah. Dante loves to research, and that's one of the things I love so much about him. And he did not disappoint. Let's talk a little bit about some trivia on the Blair Witch.
Okay. And I like to correct you. I did
Oh,
not do a little research. There, I have done a ton of research.
all right. That's what I meant.
Okay. There is an entire okay that my father was talking about this earlier, but there's an entire website dedicated to the Blair Witch that they put all the stuff on to make it seem real, and they went. You may
Uh,
go.
yes, I'm following your footsteps here. Raise my hand. Not only was there a website at the time, but they also did a documentary, like a documentary of the documentary. So a whole documentary crew trying to go on the heels of Heather, Mark, or Mike and Josh, and so it went along with that website. You may continue.
What was the documentary called? Was it like 8 minutes long?
No, it was like an hour and a half long on the Sci-Fi Channel, and I think it was just called the Blair Witch. Like, but it was a companion documentary that went with the website, and it made no mention of the fact that it was just a fiction movie. It like looked like you were watching a documentary of the the Blair Witch and then the finding of the footage.
Hmm. Yeah, and they did release little bits, I think, of the documentary into it.
Yeah, that's what went viral. Is that's what made people really believe that the Blair Witch was real.
And oh my God, is the website super detailed? Like they reveal different things. They wrote an entire book just for the website, but it's Heather's journal during the paranormal investigation stuff.
That's crazy.
Um, okay, I think this is pretty interesting. Okay, so I think one of the directors saw the way that military was like kind of training people. So they moved the people like super long. They made them walk super far every single day, and they harassed them at night and they deprived them of food.
Yeah, that goes right along with what I was saying. Is like um, Heather and Mike and Josh, they would get like little messages from the directors, but the message would be like Mike kicked the map into the lake or into the river, and that's all they would get. And so, they'd force them to march mile after mile, and when they were stopping, they'd have a message like Josh would get his own message like you're really mad at Heather because she got you lost, and then Mike would have a message like you start laughing because you just kicked the map in. But all the interaction is all real, and like I said, when they're in the tent, all real.
Yeah, I found a documentary. It's called Curse of the Blair Witch. I'm pretty
There
sure,
you go.
and it's a TV shorts, is what it said.
Mhm.
Okay, so it costs $200,000, which may seem like a lot, which is a lot, but think of like more like think of the 10 movies that you just recently watched. I don't think any of them have crossed the have went past the a million line that have like went like under $1 million, because all these movies cost so much to make. And this in this movie, I think if I go deeper into my investigation, it worldwide it made like it made $29.2 million worldwide, and they only had half $500,000 of budget. So I think that's pretty amazing.
That's pretty incredible. It was the number one independent release of all time, right?
Yeah, yeah. So this is a crazy thing because I know it takes a lot to edit. there's 20 hours of footage that they have of these people,
Hmm.
and they had to cut it down to like 2.5 hours. The editing process took 8 months.
Wow, that's crazy.
Um, Also, the part where you're talking about the notes, they put them in little canisters that were like for like tape for like camera tape. That's where they put the notes.
That's
That's
called
just a little add-on.
film. You know,
Film.
you'll never have to worry about film. You get all
I
these.
know, I'm so advanced.
You are. What else?
So the house that is at the very end, like the murder house, it's called the Griggs house. And it was going to be taken down in 1999, right after the release, or not like right after, but like in the same year as the release of the Blair Witch. But people made like an old version of like a Kickstarter where they like raised money to save the home, and the state just decided to not get rid of it. But then the government pulled a sneaky on them and just demolished it without any warning or announcement. They just destroyed the entire house.
Yeah, the government will do that to you.
Yeah. So I was doing my research and I found out that there are 2 deleted scenes from the film that were on an FXX version of the film that of Blair Witch in 2001. It was at the very end, and it was just 2 deleted scenes of like camera footage of where Mike is saying goodbye to his family, to everybody. And at Sundance, I'm pretty sure people were pissed that it was kind of a cliffhanger at the end where she drops the stuff. So they went back to the property and filmed 4 different alternative endings, but they decided just to go with the original one.
What did you think about the ending?
I I know there's a couple of sequels, but I thought it was good because like it's a mystery film, so there has to be some mystery in it.
I really enjoyed. I like the ending because it's ambiguous.
Yeah.
I like how, like, in the first like 10 minutes of the movie, they establish that Dustin Parr always puts one kid in the corner, murders the other one, and then kills the person in the corner. And so that finally pays off in the last 10 seconds of the movie when you see Mike in the corner. Heather has very little chance of making it out alive.
Okay. So, father, I'm
Son.
going to use one cuss word. Is that okay?
Hopefully it's not one of the bad cuss words.
It's not. Well, it's
Okay.
not really. So, this movie gets shot on a lot.
It does. It gets shit on all the time.
So, there's this thing called the Golden Raspberries, which happened like directly after the Oscars, which are just the Oscars but opposite. So, like, they say like worst actor of the decade, worst
Yeah,
actor
the
of the century.
anti-Oscars, basically.
Yeah. Heather Donahue won Worst Actress Award, which is so bad because she did an amazing job, I'd say. But I can't believe she won Worst Actress Award for one of for the top grossing independent film of all time. And they got nominated for Worst Picture Award. This is so stupid.
It is stupid. So this is a funny question. Or this is an interesting question. I don't know how funny it is. So we saw 2 very popular cult classic movies, very different ends of the witch spectrum. But just looking at it as a film, what was the more enjoyable of the 2 films, Blair Witch or Hocus Pocus?
Is my film... Wait, hold on for a second. Is my film kind of laggy?
A little bit. That's okay. I can hear your voice. Your voice is fine, but you're just lagging behind a little bit. It doesn't matter. We can hear your voice.
I liked Blair Witch Project more because I don't know why. I just liked it more. because it made me feel more.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm totally right there with you. I think out of the two, the Blair Witch is the better of the two films. Um, I think it's more creative. I think the acting is better, except for Kathy Najimy. She shines like always. Um, but knowing that these three people, all their reactions and stuff were all genuine, I think it was just a better film, and it was such a groundbreaking movie. Any kind of found footage horror movie or suspense movie, they owe their whole existence to Blair Witch. Would you agree?
Mhm. I do agree. So I'm on Twitter right now. Guess what?
What?
It's National Podcast Day.
It's National Podcast Day, and we're doing a podcast. What? Is it time for Kathy and Jimmy tweets?
Okay, not to disappoint, but there's only a single funny Kathy and Jimmy tweet that has come out since we posted our video.
Okay, let's do it. Is it, hey, I'm going to come on
Okay,
to
so-
Truckee Pacific Presents and chat them up on their podcast? Is that what that says?
No, but she did confirm that she's going to do a podcast with somebody else where she's going to do like a reunion podcast. So, traitor.
Is it a Hocus Pocus reunion? Because she was in like 5 movies.
Like, well, yeah, it's like with Kenny Ortega and the other director.
All right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it says they're going to read.
Tell me your Kevin and Jamie tweet.
So she posted about Trump's tax returns, where like they got people saw the tax returns, right? And she talked about him only paying $750 within those 2 years, and she had the best reaction of all time to it. He said the one-liner that we're gonna use for the rest of our lives forever. Raise your toe if you're surprised.
My toes are raised. They're not. All right. Well, that was
she's also gonna do.
That was Kathleen and Jimmy funny tweets. Yeah, our segment.
I lied.
What'd you lie about?
Okay, so she has some more. So this is immediate. Tonight, and I think another date, she's going to do a Democratic National Committee text-a-thon, where if you, like, put your number in, they text you, and, like, they ask you how you voted and stuff. So if you guys should do that. 100%. Right. Also, on Kathy Nadumi's page, the first person recommended to follow if you follow Kathy Nadumi is Whoopi Goldberg.
You know what? Those are two iconic legends in the acting business. I mean, they are national treasures. Them, Betty White, Danny DeVito. I can't think of too many more American treasures than those four.
Ray Liotta.
Ray Liotta. All right, so let's wrap up our review of the Joe Pesci. Yeah, Joe Pesci. He's definitely right up there. All right, so let's wrap up our review here on the Blair Witch. But before we do, what is your interpretation of the ending? So, like I said, the ending was ambiguous. It's kind of like you haven't seen Pulp Fiction, but for my older crew who has seen Pulp Fiction, every time they would open up the briefcase, all there was a gold light. And it was up to your imagination what was in the briefcase. With Inception, Christopher Nolan had Leonardo DiCaprio spin the top, and is up to your interpretation on what if Leonardo DiCaprio was in a dream or if he was in real life. Blair Witch also leaves you with a very ambiguous ending. So what is your interpretation of the ending of the Blair Witch?
They all die.
Well, yeah, they all die, but who kills them?
Blair Witch. Actually, no. I'm gonna tell you my theory. Josh kills him.
All right, that's a really interesting theory. Tell me about it.
Okay, I think Josh and Mike were working together. You don't like the dispute, so first off, Mike kicks the map into the river, like yeah, I understand you're going insane, but like, don't kick the map into the river. Second off, they never, I know this is because of low budget, but they never actually see anything. They always, the only thing that kind of ruins that a little is the kids, but that easily could be something else. But it's just rocks and stick piles and teeth and hair, he could have bought from a dentist. He could have bought teeth from a dentist. And I don't know why they would want to kill Heather Donahue, but I don't know. And I know you brought up the fact that the guy would put one kid in the corner and then murder the other kid and murder them. But I think that was used in a film to set up for that time, but just to show it's confusing. But I just think Josh and Mike were working together.
You know, when you first told me about that theory, I was like, no, that can't be true. But it's just as valid of an ending as my interpretation. My interpretation was that there is a witch living in the hills of Burkittsville, Maine, and she poisons the minds of people who live there and causes them to murder other people. But you know, your theory is just as valid, because I can totally see Josh doing it, because as you watch the movie, he's quickly losing his mental capacity. So he could very well have snapped and been the cause of their death. I think that it's more supernatural, and I tend to lean towards supernatural. I love supernatural stories. Dante, go.
So I can't fully admit to creating that theory. That was that was Matt Pat. Matt Pat created that theory, and my other theories are influenced by that theory. So go sub the game theory and film theory and food theory.
And it's totally valid theory. It's just as valid as mine. So, and I like that. I like it that way. A lot of people just love to have a closure at the end. I do like the ambiguous ending. In most cases, I'd say. And some people have done the ambiguous endings terribly wrong. Like they're setting up for a sequel that never comes. But I think Blair Witch is one of those ones where it's like, it's a good solid ending. I don't think if they would have ended with more closure, it wouldn't have added to the movie. I think it would have made it worse, frankly.
Well, they made a sequel, so.
They did make 2 sequels.
The second one isn't referred to. Nobody cares about that one.
No, it was actually pretty, and it was okay. It was an okay movie. I didn't hate it. It was okay. And the most recent sequel was actually a pretty decent movie. They basically took the same kind of format, but brought it into today's world. So like they used drones and stuff to look at the forest. But it had some pretty legitimate scares. I actually enjoyed it quite a bit.
Do you see the Blair Witch in that?
No, you don't see the Blair Witch.
But isn't there like a white figure? Like what kind of scares are there?
Just there are a couple of jump scares. It's more of a traditional movie than it is a found footage movie. There are a couple of jump scares, and I don't remember seeing any figures or anything like that. But it's been a while since I've seen it. Maybe I'll watch it again just to refresh my memory. But one thing I do remember was like it may not have been great, but it was good. It was a decent horror movie.
Final fun fact. So in one of the scenes, Heather Donahue says that she saw a figure on the hill, right?
Mm-hmm.
That figure, they didn't pan the camera over to the figure, but it was actually the director just wearing a white mask over his face and some white clothing.
Ooh. That's very interesting. I have not heard that one. So what is going to be the next movie that we review?
Does it have to be a Halloween film? Yes or no?
It could be whatever movie you want. But we were thinking maybe Beetlejuice?
I already watched Beetlejuice.
All right.
Oh, okay. We could do a Phineas and Ferb movie.
Hey, I'm down for watching the Phineas and Ferb movie.
And bring Mom on as a special guest.
There you go. I like your idea, son. All right. Well, I got to get my plugs out of the way. I'm going to be making an appearance on the Santori Project tonight, so I'm sure you guys are going to hear this like many days after we actually film this thing. So go back into the Santori Project. Check me out. I'll be on there tonight with Santori and Dr. Detroit. We have some really great episodes of Mile High Podcast and James's Games that we put up onto our YouTube pages, onto the Truckee Pacific Facebook and Mile High Podcast Facebook pages. We're all over. You can go and follow us at www.truckeepacific.com. We're all over the place. Santori Project's going great. Our most recent James's game was fantastic. It was hilarious. The debates suck so bad, so go back and actually watch that instead. You'll have a much better time. But that's pretty much it. Dante, are you plugging anything? What are you plugging?
I have a question, and then I might plug something.
All right, a question and a plug. Let's do it.
A question and a plug. I was gonna make a joke there, but never mind. So question: is James gonna have a James and the Giant Apple about the
James and the Giant Country?
Oh, yeah,
we have yet to determine that. Indeterminate.
Okay. Plug. I don't know if I have a plug. Follow Kathy and Jimmy on Instagram and Twitter.
There you go. And make sure you guys register to vote. Make sure you register to vote.
Register to vote only using Kathy and Jimmy's link.
There you go. Give Kathy and Jimmy some love.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that's pretty much it. That was Truckee Pacific Presents or reviews the Blair Witch Project. Dante, thank you so much. I will see you in like literally 30 seconds as soon as I get out of my room here. But it was great. Good time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a good night.
Bye.
This has been a Truckee Pacific production. For sponsorship inquiries and comments, go to the Mile High Podcast at gmail.com.